republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So before, we've got to add some stuff to the agenda, so I'm going to read this to you and see if we can get a motion. I entertain a motion to approve of the agenda with the addition of item D under old business, discussion on credit card fees, and under new business, item C, discussion on 2 alternative construction designs from NC DOT for the intersection of NC 50 and Dunn Street. And also add a closed session for NC statute 143-318-111-4 to discuss matters related to the location and expansion of industry for the business in the area served by the public body. To agreement or tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered to the public in the body negotiations, or to discuss matters relating to military installation closure and realignment. Any action approving the signing of these economic development contract commitment or the action authorizing the payment of economic development expenditures shall be taken in an open session. Read it again.
I make the motion that we approve the agenda with the amendments as proposed.
Okay. Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good deal. All right, so now, consider approval of the right-of-way agreement with the Department of Transportation. Is that you, Steve?
Yes, sir. This right,
That's consent.
That's consent.
Oh,
There's
consent.
not a discussion,
Yeah.
not an.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even see it.
Yeah, we got
yeah,
two
that's
things.
under consent.
Never mind,
Yeah.
sorry.
Unless you've got, if you need to.
That has to do with the Mingo project. We have to have a right-of-way agreement with DOT.
So public comment, right?
But we need to,
Oh,
the
approve the
items
consent.
somebody approved, yeah.
All right, can I
make a
have
motion.
somebody present?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, that carries as well. Now, public comment. Presentation on Eagle Scout project idea. Colby Mathis, are you?
Really quick. Let me hand out these to y'all. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Colby Mathis, and I'm a Life Scout with Troop 19. Thank you all for allowing me to present my Eagle Scout Service Project proposal to you tonight. For my project, I would like to create 2 to 3 designated parking spaces in our town's parking lots for veterans. These spaces will be clearly marked with painted lines and signs that honor those who have served in our armed forces. I handed out examples to each of you with a couple ideas for signs. To enhance these parking spots, I would like to paint the parking stop as shown at the bottom of your example page. The purpose of this project is simple but meaningful: to show respect and gratitude to the veterans of our town and all visiting veterans by making it easier for them to access important community locations. Many veterans in our community, including some who may have disabilities or lasting injuries, will benefit from this small act of recognition. Tonight I have with me as a show of support Mr. Ronald Tanner, the post commander of American Legion Banner Post 109 here in Benson. Also veterans Mr. Keith Langdon and Mr. Ronnie Williams from our community. As part of this project, I will organize skip something. This project will serve as a visible reminder to everyone in our town of the sacrifices veterans have made for our community, our country. It's a way to say thank you, not just with words, but with action. As a part of this project, I will organize volunteers, coordinate with the town for approval and placement, and work with local businesses or organizations for materials and support. The cost will be nothing to the town, as all supplies and work will be donated through my fundraising and work performed by Troop 19. Through this Eagle Scout project, I will be giving something back to the men and women who served our country for all of our freedoms today. And I ask for your support in making these veteran parking spaces a reality. At this time, I can answer any questions you may have, and thank you for your time and approval tonight.
First, I want to tell you,
guess you were heading up this project. I think it's a great idea. And when would you like to get started on this if it was for you?
Really whenever so there's a process to this. Once I get it approved by the town, I take it to my, scout council, and then they approve it, and then it gets put into motion, which could probably take like a month, maybe 2 at most. It really just depends on how it all goes. So I'd hope to start it by no later than December.
I didn't know if you wanted to wait till the spring, you know, till the weather breaks, or something you want to do
Yes, ma'am.
soon.
How many of these do you think you're gonna have?
Around like 2 to 3 maybe. It really just depends on what the town would like, and wherever they would like me to put them.
And that's what I was gonna ask you, where do you wanna put them?
I had looked at the parking lot on Main Street, near Medlin and Dorman's, as well as the PK Vice Park over by the fire station.
Okay.
How about at the American Legion?
That'd be a lot of parking spaces I'd
Yeah,
have
it
to do,
would.
sir.
Anybody wanna make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that carries.
Thank you.
Set.
Y'all have a great night.
Thank you.
You too, dear.
Derek, summer reading wrap-up presentation.
All right, well, good evening. It's great to finally be back standing here in front of you guys, giving you guys a wrap-up on our summer reading program. And I wanted to take a moment to tell you guys about it because since I have been here, I've been here since 2018, director since 2019. This year is our largest summer so far. So I was very proud of the work that we accomplished this summer, and I'm also proud of my team because when I went out, they never missed a beat. So I was very, very glad to see that. So just to kind of give you just a brief summary, I've done just a flyer this time, but total we had 174 kids registered this summer. We offered programs 5 days a week for 8 weeks out of the summer, so we were moving. Out of the 174 kids that registered, we had 95 children that actually turned in reading logs. And looking back through statistics, I do good if I get 45 to 50. So to see that number go up this year was a huge accomplishment. Out of that, to kind of give you guys just a brief overview of something new we tried this year, we did a 1,000-minute reading challenge because hearing the parents talk, they were having trouble getting their children to read. It was a challenge. They had read all school year. They're like, I'm done. I want a break this summer. So we took that as a challenge, and we offered them incentives to read over the course of the summer. And believe it or not, that paid off. We had 24 kids complete the 1,000-minute challenge. So in case you're wondering, that's about 20 minutes a day. So that's awesome. Then an additional 24 kids read over 500 minutes. And so if you take that, out of 95 kids, you had 48 kids that read at least 10 minutes a day. And that's something to be proud of because if they spend time reading during the summer, they're not losing what they've learned during the school year. So I'm waiting to see with test scores. I think they did their first benchmark test within this past month at the elementary school, so hopefully we'll see if any of this pays off. So I'm hoping to see that my third graders, when they take that fourth grade first exam, we're not seeing a backslide like has been happening in the past. So with that there, that's really why that really became near and dear to my heart this summer. And then just to kind of give you guys a total, there's a breakdown of all the people that we served this summer. We served 1,430 children and parents this summer. So it's been a busy summer. And as you see, our Big Friday shows is still one of the biggest draws. So it's nice that as a small community, we can still provide opportunities where the kids get to see different acts coming in, different performers, from science shows to magicians to even theater companies. So our goal over the summer is if you never get to leave Benson, you get to see a variety right here in town. So if you flip over on the back, you guys will see some trends. And I wanted to point this out because there's two things I like to track during the summer: the number of books read and how much time was spent reading. So as you can see, the blue bar on the right is actually our 2025 totals. We read over 2,500 books this summer. So that's how many books the children read. And that's amazing. That's actually the largest number we've had to date since I went back to 2022 and pulled stats. And then also I wanted to point out our minutes read. This year, our children read 77,770 minutes. That's amazing. That actually tripled from the year before. So we had a really good summer. So I wanted to take a minute. I told Steve, I was like, we'll keep it less than 5 minutes. So hopefully I've done that. But I just wanted to take a minute to show you guys, hey, our kids have done great things this summer. And I just wanted y'all to know it. So thank y'all.
Thank you, Derek.
For the 1,000-minute challenge. Okay, so the 1,000-minute challenge, I started asking some of the kids, some of the parents, what would be something that would be enticing. So for the 1,000-minute mark, if you read the 1,000 minutes, you were invited to a pool party over at the Benson Community Pool. And it was supposed to be right after summer reading, but it did get postponed because I was in the hospital during that time. But we were able to do it Labor Day weekend. And so they got to come out, they got snacks, pizza. It was a great night. They really enjoyed that. And then for 500 minutes, we actually contracted with, hold on, let me think. I think it's Sweet Southern Snowballs out of Smithfield. They brought their food truck out, and they actually did snow cones for the kids. So that was a neat little treat. And I think, based on the turnout, I got a feeling we've kind of started something new now. So, and I'm glad for it.
Very good.
Derek, let me ask you something. What is your ratio? And I know you probably don't have it tonight, but I would like to sometime get that from you.
Okay, sure.
And I think that's wonderful. The more our children read, the better they are. It does help with
Absolutely.
test scores, and they did take the math test a couple of weeks ago.
All right.
Or 3 or 4 weeks ago now. So thank you for your work. But I do want that.
Okay.
So I want to look at that.
We can work on that.
Thank you.
All right.
Anybody else?
Thank you very much, Derek.
That's all you do, Derek. Okay, next on the agenda is the public hearing. Individual wishing to address the board are asked to provide their name and address. Does anybody want to address the board? I don't think so. Okay, now. Got a public hearing on food trucks, violation enforcement and overflow parking.
All right, perfect. So before we start on the food trucks, I just wanted to share with you a major site plan that was approved by the planning board at their last meeting, October 7th. This approved project is located at 115 North Fayetteville Street, and the approved site plan here shows a large addition to the building, as well as improved landscaping and parking areas. Do you have any questions? Great.
I think I read that that's gonna be a sports bar and a restaurant. Is that kind
That-
of what I read?
That's my understanding. Yes, sir.
Good deal. All right. Thank you.
All right. Our first item for review tonight is Text 05, an amendment to the food truck ordinance. These provisions would allow food trucks to operate within the town of Benson municipal limits and ETJ as long as they obtain an annual permit and comply with the proposed regulations. These regulations include, bear with me, it's a lengthy bit here. For locations, mobile food vendors shall be permitted to operate in any commercially or industrially zoned areas so long as they obtain property owner's permission. Mobile food vendors shall be permitted to operate in public parks, but must first be verified by and receive permission from the parks administrator or equivalent staff member. Mobile food vendors may also operate in residentially zoned areas, but only within areas designated as common open space and having a community-oriented use, and owned by a property management group, a homeowners association, or other responsible organization, and with that organization's permission. Mobile food vendor operation is permitted on private residential property for single-day events, such as catering for a private party, as long as the food is not being sold to the general public. Mobile food vendor operations on undeveloped or vacant land in commercially zoned areas may be considered the principal use for the property and are permitted so long as they obtain the property owner's permission. Mobile food vendors may not locate within any on-street parking along an NCDOT maintained street unless during a Town of Benson sanctioned event, as well as these following standards. A mobile food vendor permit issued by the planning department is required for the operation of any mobile food vendor within the Town of Benson. The approved permit must be posted in public view while operating within the town. The mobile food vendor permit shall be valid for 1 full calendar year from the date of issuance. Mobile food vendors shall renew their permit annually with the planning department. Only one mobile food vendor shall be permitted to operate on a particular parcel at any time unless operating with a temporary use permit. Multiple food vendors shall be permitted on a parcel as part of an official event sanctioned by the Town of Benson. Mobile food vendors shall not impede or interfere with pedestrian or vehicular traffic flow, nor obstruct ingress, egress of a building as set forth in all applicable North Carolina state building and fire codes. Mobile food vendors shall be located at least 15 feet away from any fire hydrant. Mobile food vendors shall not occupy any ADA handicap accessible parking spaces. Mobile food vendors are limited to daily hours of between 6 a.m. and midnight and are not permitted to remain on site overnight. Adequate solid waste receptacles for customers' use must be provided. Mobile food vendors are responsible for the removal and disposal of trash as a result of their operation. No liquid waste or grease shall be disposed of onto sidewalk, streets, or other public places. Grease shall not be released into public sewers or stormwater drains. All waste must be properly disposed of in an approved container and location. No signage shall be allowed other than signs permanently attached to the motor vehicle. An easel sign no more than 12 square feet may be placed within the customer waiting area. If applicable, mobile food vendors must obtain a valid food establishment permit from any North Carolina county to operate. Upon receiving their first sanitation grade, their current sanitation grade must be displayed in public view at all times, and supporting information from any North Carolina county must be in good standing and made available upon request. Mobile food vendors must have an independent electrical source to support equipment containing hot or cold food and to maintain hot water for proper food handling and sanitation. The suspension, expiration, or revocation of approvals and permits associated with any North Carolina county's environmental health department will render the mobile food vendor permit void. Mobile food vendors must comply with all applicable environmental health regulations set forth by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, specifically Section 15A NCAC 18A.2670 of NCDHHS's Rules of Governing the Food Protection and Sanitation of Food Establishments. The Planning Board has recommended approval for this text amendment. The Board of Commissioners should entertain public comment for this amendment, and I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
I read somewhere in all of these pages that you sent out, that also includes tents, people cooking under tents as a food vendor.
The applicability for this would be vendors of food, drink, or other consumable products which may operate as a food truck, food trailer, food cart, or other similar mobile or temporary vehicle. It wouldn't include.
It would not be a 2 pig cookers and a tent over, or 2 or 3 tents that come in, say, once a month.
No, sir. That would be a temporary use permit for something like that. This specifically is for mobile food vendors, so your traditional food truck.
If we go with this and approve it, when does it go into effect, and who goes and checks them when they're here?
Planning staff would check it, and it would be made today if it was approved.
So if we've got a food vendor already here that sits up and he's on a private lot and
Mm-hmm.
he's using their electricity,
Mm-hmm.
it still falls under this UDO.
Yes, sir. We would reach out to them and let them know that they would need a food truck permit to continue operating within the town of Benson.
How many days would it take for them, how many days would they be allowed to take to get all that stuff? A week or not now?
We'd be willing to work with them as staff, but I don't imagine it would take long. Presumably, they already have sanitation grades and they already have the equipment necessary that these rules would dictate.
This would be an annual permit, right? So from the date of purchase, they could be permitted to use it for a 12-month period, right?
That's right.
How would the, I noticed in the list, and when I was reading it, that it allowed them to set up on the town-owned public parks with permission from either the parks administrator or equivalent staff member, I think is what it said. Would there be any kind of policy or anything put in place to be able to, I mean, are we gonna give a truck an annual permit and then they may be able to go in the Grove and set up every weekend based on that annual permit? How will we decide what that permission looks like?
So the annual permit basically just gives them the right to operate as a food truck in the town of Benson, but they still would need a property owner's permission. And if that's the town of Benson and the Parks Department, then they would need the Parks Department permission to park at the Grove or similar place.
And if you have multiple people that wanted to do it at the same time, and it says it allows one-on-one parcel, how are you gonna decipher between those?
I imagine it would be first come, first serve. Or like this says, it would be a town of Benson sanctioned event. So something like Mule Days would be exempt from 1 unit per parcel.
Right. I'm just wondering if the first food truck came in tomorrow and bought a permit, and if we passed this and then had 12 months and said, I want to set up every Saturday at the Grove, are you going to allow them to extend that number of weekends and that number of period, or to limit it to 1 food truck, or how are those requests going to be handled if other food vendors wanted to come in and cycle through the town properties?
Planning staff wouldn't keep track of if they have unless we got a tip that they were operating without permission at a park or something like that. It would be up to however the Parks Department wanted to handle reservations and how far out they would go and that sort of thing.
Matt, you got anything? Is Matt still back there? Is Matt back there at all?
I understand. We will look at some form of policy procedure for that, because I completely understand where you're coming from there.
Okay, all right. I just worry about somebody locking it down and saying, hey, I've got the first permit, I want to be on town property every weekend without some kind of.
So because of that, would you all prefer us have some sort of, clearly, it not always a first come, first serve in terms of locking out for the entire calendar year? We'll put some time limits in it. Kind of like we discussed during the work session about only reserving a month out for some of the fields. Maybe we look into something like that for the food trucks as well, if that's what you would like.
We could draft a policy and bring it to your work session.
Well, I think on Benson's property, like the Grove, it would have to be done through Parks and Rec if that's who handles it, I mean, it's just like the ball fields you were looking at. It's cut and dry as far as, well, we will let them use it, but they're not locked in for a whole year.
Well, well, the next, that brings me to the next question, is there gonna be any, because right now, unless we've changed it, I'm not aware, in the past, we have rented those spaces and offered like the Grove and other areas for private rents. Is there gonna be additional cost to the food truck if they set up on town property? Because if so, and there's a food truck there, and then there's not a party or something that could rent that space, then we could lose revenue.
Correct. I think there's a lot of moving pieces and parts with that, and I agree with you. I don't want to limit rentals in that terms of revenue for a food truck. So I think where they would be allowed to rent, in terms of the public parks, the parking spaces, that kind of thing, we'll have to look at that. Because I agree, you don't want to put something in the Grove when somebody wants to rent the entire Grove out for the weekend. That's a.
Or will we put a rental for a food truck if they were to use town property, like we do for the rental fee, and put that in our fee schedule.
Correct.
I wouldn't imagine, maybe, but I wouldn't imagine that a food truck would want to be out there by themselves. I wouldn't think they would mind having 2 or 3, maybe.
I think there's several that would like to come to town if they could find a space to put it. And I think right now it can only be on private property, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Unless it's a town event. we don't allow it, we don't allow it in parking lots and publicly owned property. It's only on privately owned property right now, correct?
The current rules are pretty convoluted when it comes to food truck stuff, so that's part of the reason that,
Well, it's just like Christmas on Main. We will use the Grove, or the Chamber will use the Grove, and they will have at least 3 or 4 food trucks out there on either side. I would just, I would really hate to do away with that. And also, ice cream is considered a food truck. Whether they have hookups or not, they fall right under this.
so to answer your first question, if it's a Town of Benson sanctioned event, like the
Yeah.
Christmas Parade or Hollow Fest or Mule Days or anything like that, they're exempt from the one per lot. So you could fill up the Grove hypothetically, or you could fill up a parking lot,
Okay.
you know, with food trucks, because those are the times food trucks want to be, you know, there should be more than one. As far as what types of foods qualify as a food truck, I think that's determined by the USDA. But we as planning staff would make sure that they have the appropriate permits that would be required from the food truck. So that would come from the Johnson County Health Department. As part of when they submit their food truck application, their permits from the health department would be part of that submittal for their application, so that we could verify that they've been permitted by the county to operate.
Ice cream falls under that too.
You're selling a food to people to consume, so I would
Okay.
assume, yes, I
That's-
don't know that for
yeah.
certain.
Heated
My
All right.
assumption.
Snow cones, I mean, snow cone trucks, same thing. It's a
Okay.
vendor.
How do you think this affects our brick and mortar restaurants? Do you see, I mean, I know that they serve a purpose, food trucks do, and they serve a need. I think my concern is if, as a business person, I'm not a restaurateur, never want to be, but if I had a choice between buying a truck and paying a small permit fee and coming and sitting up somewhere for free that didn't cost anything, when on an as-is basis, when we've got available properties downtown that we would hope would be a restaurant one day, is this gonna deter that? I mean, and then I'd have to pay taxes on the building, and I would actually have to become a part of a community.
Yeah.
And that's my only concern when if we've got 1 or 2 food trucks that support existing, like Fain and Goat, they have food trucks there on the weekend that support an existing business that is a benefit to the town as far as revenue and taxes. Food trucks don't really bring that on their own.
So this was also a conversation in the planning board. The current ordinance does prohibit food trucks from setting up, I think it's within 500 feet of a brick and mortar establishment, and this was something that the planning board discussed. Ultimately, they decided that they didn't want to include that distance language, because that is that's pretty common practice in other towns. A lot of towns, when food trucks started becoming popular, put in that distance requirement, and now as they've become more popular, have removed that distance requirement.
The distance requirement has been pretty much, as he said, disappearing in other towns that do this. Part of the rationale behind it is that the food trucks are gonna draw greater crowds, and those crowds it's like having a bunch of shops on your street that are all antique shops. If one antique shop is located near 3 others, people are gonna go into those as well. That's the rationale behind it.
Okay. So now, we have to, we go to the next one, or do we have to?
You have to have a public hearing.
Okay, so that means we have to, before it again, right?
Right.
Okay, guys. Would anyone like to come and speak for this food truck amendment? Anyone like to come speak for this amendment? Anyone like to come speak for this amendment? Anyone like to come and speak against this amendment? Against, that's 3, okay. So nobody coming forward. Number 2 is violation report.
Well, we gotta.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Can I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we approve.
Okay, you gotta read that thing?
Mm-hmm. That amendment.
You don't have to, I mean, you can, I think that's fine.
Do I have to read it?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you. I make a motion.
All in favor? Well, first off, any more discussion?
Y'all are gonna bring us a policy to review on this.
Yes, sir.
In terms of rentals from the town property, yes.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Holly has made a motion to approve the request of text amendment 2505 as proposed. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Carries. Next now is the violation enforcement.
All righty, thank you very much. Text Amendment 8 is a petition to adjust and include language in the UDO in reference to zoning violations, fees, and penalties. The current language of the enforcement subsection of the UDO presents challenges to staff for enforcing the ordinance and gives little guidance on how to move forward with enforcement action if violators do not comply with the communication efforts of staff. The proposed text amendment would provide staff the ability to hold violators accountable by imposing a fee and demonstrating a means for pursuing a lien on property if a fee is not recovered or a violation remedied. Sorry about the small text here, but it's just a lot of information. On this slide, the current language does not give much information on how, which, or why zoning enforcement action can be taken. Section 1 includes language of a misdemeanor, which has been nullified by state legislation for several years now. This proposal would strike the language from Section 1 and replace it with, quote, 1, upon investigating and validating a zoning violation, the planning department shall notify the property owner by letter a notice of violation. The notice of violation shall include the excerpt from the ordinance that is being violated, as well as an indication of a 10-day remedy period for a first violation and a 3-day remedy period for subsequent violations. At the end of the 10th day, a fee of $100 per day per violation will be assessed to the property owner. If by the 30th day the violation has not been remedied, a lien will be pursued on the property for the amount owed in fees. Fees will continue to be assessed, and subsequent liens may be placed on the property until a violation is resolved, end quote. Let's see. The Planning Board recommends approval for this text amendment, and of course, the Board of Commissioners should entertain public comment, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
What are your most common type of violations that you're seeing right now that you think this is going to affect? And is 10 days a reasonable time to on all of those violations to request remedy? I think that's the only thing that concerns me. 10 days is a short amount of time. If it's a trash can in the street over 24 hours, that's one thing.
Yeah.
If it's mowing grass, that's one thing. But if it's a structural change or something that has to come into compliance, this is pretty black and white. Is there going to be any gray area for you to say, you know what, you got to do something with a fence or something and call a fence contractor who's 12 weeks out?
Yeah.
Is there any gray area there for you to take into consideration before you start popping people with liens?
So our most common zoning violations are probably like junk stuff, as well as like mowing grass and fences. So you already knew it sounded like what were our most common ones. But staff policy, the 10th day is the time period for the violator to reach out to staff and make movement on correcting the violation. Our policy as staff is, as long as you're making forward progress in remedying the violation, you know, we're postponing this process. But the problem we've run into is some people kind of take advantage of that, and the current language doesn't really give us teeth to hold them accountable, and this would fix that.
That's just basically giving them a time frame that's basically opposed to how it's written forward.
Yes, it's giving them a time frame to communicate with staff and make a good faith effort in at least starting to remedy the violation. In some cases, like you said, with trash cans, it can be fixed very easily, or mowing the grass or something like that. But of course, there are other violations that may take longer, and of course, staff is reasonable to and willing to work with people on setting timelines.
This is, I can assure you, this is standard language in other towns in terms of how to enforce it. And like he says, if someone's making headway, I mean, and they're keeping on it to do it, and you see a result that's going to happen in a decent time frame, you would not move forward with the violation.
That's right. We're in the business to fix these violations and not to charge fines.
Anybody else? Okay, is there anybody out there that would like to come and make a public comment in favor of this amendment? In favor? Anyone like to come in favor? Is there also anyone out there that would like to come in opposition to this amendment? In opposition? In opposition. Okay, that's 3 both ways. So, now it's time to vote on this, on this text amendment.
I make a motion to approve the request of text amendment 2025-08 as proposed.
Okay, we have a motion. Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Last but not least, overflow parking.
All right, thank you very much. My final topic tonight is text amendment 9, a petition to include language in the ordinance that would allow for overflow parking areas to be surfaced with gravel. The current language of the UDO presents challenges for certain land use types that need extra parking, but only on occasion, or large vehicular use areas that are outside the scope of parking. The addition of language to allow for overflow parking to be graveled instead of paved will provide a more cost-effective option for these situations. Gravel surfaces still count towards impervious surface ratios and the related maximums. As you can see on this slide, the language of the ordinance does indicate alternative surfaces that may be approved by the Public Works Director and grass surfaces for very limited and specific circumstances. This language would remain in place with the addition of Section 3 to read, quote, 3, gravel surface parking. Gravel surface parking may be used for overflow parking and vehicular use areas for any parking that is being provided in excess of the minimum parking as set forth in the minimum parking table of 156.300, 156.401C off-street parking requirements. Additionally, vehicular access areas such as drive aisles and access points from the required parking area may also be surfaced with gravel. The Planning Board recommends approval for this text amendment. The Board of Commissioners should entertain public comment for this amendment, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Just out of curiosity, when you do your impervious surface calculations, does gravel hold the same percentage calculation as concrete and asphalt does?
Yes, sir. There are certain types of gravel that count as pervious, that don't count as impervious surface, but more often than not, your gravel does count as impervious because it compacts. It compacts so much so that it no longer becomes pervious.
What would you suggest on the overflow parking out at Viz Park? Okay.
Okay.
Just everything to the right of the gym is really overflow parking.
Mm-hmm.
And it was absolutely full, I think this past weekend. I don't know really what was going on. But you've got a grassy area,
Mm-hmm.
and in wet conditions, you've got a muddy area.
Mm-hmm.
And in reading over this, it doesn't, I just don't want to get hit by this later. Well, you are making me do this, but you are not doing this. Is that part of what we're talking about?
Yes. So grass parking surfaces are already permitted by use in certain circumstances, including schools, churches, parks, playgrounds, ball fields, football and baseball stadiums, and things like that. So a place like the park would have the option to gravel their overflow parking as long as it didn't exceed their impervious surface ratios, but they could also still maintain that grass parking lot. This is more for situations for like industrial scale facilities where they have big trucks that need to turn around, but they can't use grass, but they don't necessarily need to pave it either because it's only used for like turning around big trucks or loading or unloading and things like that.
So this would apply similar to like the Grill on the Hill where they've got the asphalt parking that's required for the store, but the truck parking that gets used every once in a while is all gravel behind the store. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. That would make situations like that be compliant with this language.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, is there any more comments? So is there anyone that wants to be in favor for it, or is there anyone that opposes?
Mayor Pro Tem, are you ready for a vote?
I am.
I'm ready to make the motion that we approve, and I'm not gonna read it. You know what it says, so I'll make a motion that we approve it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
It's old business, and that is the mayor. Steve, it'll be discussion regarding the future employee benefits package.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. This is being brought back to the board. It's been, been pushed through, it's been tabled and pushed through to this particular meeting. Bringing us back to the board to discuss future employees benefit package. During the board's September 18th meeting, the board kept in place the town employees benefit package as currently adopted in the revised balanced fiscal year 26 annual budget. Although the healthcare premium stipend of $400 per month was ended going forward with the 11 employees that currently have it grandfathered. That annual cost is $52,400. This next paragraph I put in here, and I'm going to ask Scott to help me here to make sure I'm doing this correctly. The next one section was that legislation was passed this just past summer that would increase the town's contribution to the retirement system, the local government employees retirement system, and the local enforcement officers retirement system, increasing your contribution by 2.4% to each one. That would take the local government employee retirement system from the current 14.38% to 16.78%, and for the law enforcement retirement system, it would take the current contribution of 16.28% to 18.48%. The way the legislation was adopted is it's effective October 1st. The town would be required to pay this new amount retroactively, though, for months of July, August, and September by next June. The total increase to the town would be around $125,000. But I am recalling we received an email from the league that has been postponed to 26, 27, correct?
I received, the League of Municipalities have really been on this. They had a meeting with, state health plan because, this hit all the municipalities' budgets because none of us, we had no idea that this was in the works. So the legislators met and they have decided that, they're gonna postpone it until fiscal year 26, 27. It will start because in the, how they did it was this hold off period ends June 30th, of this year, and then it will start next year. So where we thought we were gonna have the hit of $125,000 in this budget, we're not. In this way we can budget for it in the next year. So that is, I mean, it's still not good news, but it's better that it's not hitting us this fiscal year.
Yeah, the reason why they're doing this is this extra money is going to be used to help fund the state health plan. And the reason why they're doing that is because the state health plan doesn't have enough funding to provide the level of health costs for the state health plan in the way it sits. So they're doing this. Now, please understand, this is only for those towns that are in the state health plan, and we don't have a choice to get out of the state health plan. But as Angie said, I saw on my manager's listserv, people were going crazy because nobody had budgeted $100,000+ in their retirement system. So at least it's being put off, and you all will have to look at it in the spring.
We just need to be aware when we budget for next year.
So moving from there, this is just going back over real quickly what's already been presented to the board. The state health care plan will move from a monthly payment per employee of $674.62 to $742.04, and that's effective this January, and that's an increase of 10%. Town employees continue to pay for family coverage themselves. We're locked into the state health care plan. The state health plan which currently is administered by Aetna. And just to give you an idea about how it affects an employee, the standard low plan will increase an employee. And by the way, the employee's contribution is based on their salary now, and so the standard low plan will be anywhere from $35 to $80 a month. The standard high plan will be anywhere from $66 to $160 depending on your salary. The largest portion of the town staff falls between the $50,000 and $65,000 range. So the standard low plan would be $50 a month, and the standard for the high plan would be $94 a month, and the $25 per employee contribution by the town would not apply anymore. So that's going into effect January 1st, and Scott's already working on getting that together and onboarding for the new year. So that's not anything that the board can change or do anything about, but I just wanted to point that out to you. Now this one is the 401k contribution. Currently, the town is putting 5% contribution to the 401k for each employee. This includes law enforcement, although the law enforcement contribution is required by state statute, so there's no, that one has to stay in place. The town is not required to do it for the others, but chose to do so, like many towns have done in North Carolina. The board was provided a September 9th work session. The counties and municipalities in North Carolina that provide 401k for non-police employees. 70 out of 100 counties provide this either completely or by matching contribution. 307 out of some 500 municipalities provide the contribution as well. However, one of the things that we have looked at as staff is that the local government employees retirement system offers two supplemental retirement plans: the 401k and the 457 plan. We have some employees who actually put some of their own dollars into the 457 right now, so they have both. The town has an option to choose which of the two plans you want to make a contribution to, and you can change that at any time. In talking with our representative, who was with Empower, which is the company that provides the 457 and the 401k, what we learned is that with the 401k that is currently used by the town, there's a stipulation that the employer's contribution must be the same for all employees. So what we learned is that you can't just say, okay, we're going to do the current employees at 5%, future employees will be done at a lower percentage using the 401k plan. You got to do it all or not. Now, that doesn't mean you have to do the 5%, but you still have to do the same amount. There is a second option, though, and that option is to make your employee contribution to the 457 plan. Under the 457 plan, you are able to make differing amounts of contributions to the employees. That's allowed under the 457 plan. So, for example, by having that, if the board were to switch our contribution to the 457, you could continue to give the 5% contribution for current employees that are in the budget, and then, but for future employees that are hired, you could provide a different donation or different contribution. For example, you could say our contribution will be 3%, or whatever the board wants to choose. You also have the option of making it a matching plan. So you could keep the 5% for the current, and then you could do a matching plan. A matching plan would be, for example, 2% from the town and 2% from the employee. I would like to point out that according to our representative from Empower, typically if you do a matching plan, typically 2/3 of the employees will take advantage of that. So it's not like you're gonna knock out a whole lot, it's not like you're gonna not have to continue to make contributions, but because 2/3 of the employees are gonna take advantage of it. The thing about the 457 is it allows for the board to have flexibility in the future pending financial, whatever the financial situation is. So I brought that to the board as a possible option. Our representative tells us that if we set a date of January 1st for that to happen, the reason why you have to give it a couple months before it kicks in is that they're literally going to have to, Empower is going to have to come here and meet with each employee to set up that 457. Now, the 401k that's there will still remain. It's still funded. The employee will still have that, have access to that when they retire. I would like to say that also that the IRS does not allow for the 401k to be rolled over to a 457 until you're 59 and a half years old. Then you can roll it over. I just bring that to the board as an option, and I brought that as an option because right now, being in the 401k, we're going to have to, the town will have to continue to give that 5% to everybody as long as you're still giving 5%. And I brought this second option to the board so that you have the option of maintaining the 5% for the current employees, but being able for new employees to have a different contribution at a level that you would like to set. That's why I brought this option to you after I learned what we can or cannot do under the 401k and the 457.
How many employees do we currently have on the 457?
Oh, I couldn't answer how many we. Do you know how many we have on the 457, Scott?
There are not very many.
Yeah,
Maybe
a handful.
Maybe no more than 10. Yeah.
So you have some employees who opted to put some of their own money into the 457.
Most of, in my case, I have both, and they're both through Empower, through my municipality, and my municipality puts 5% in my 401k. I put my money in the 457 because the difference is because I'm going to get my 30 years in my 40s, and since I'm going to have 30 years, I can't draw from that 401k until I hit that 59 and a half. But I can, as soon as I retire in my 40s, that 457 will gap me, or help gap me from that 48 years old to 59 and a half years old when I can't touch the 401k that the town puts in. That's what most.
How about you, Cassandra?
Yes.
Wow, that's neat.
Right. So that's right.
Yeah.
So this, and one of the things that also this option provides the board is more flexibility in the future, depending on what your financial situation is. I would like to point out one additional thing, and I know that probably the board knows this. Whatever you adopt or whatever you decide to do does not cause a future board to have to continue to do that particular policy. You can't, whoever's on the board in 2035, they can make their own decision as to what they want to do. So it's not something that ties future boards.
If you were just coming on board right now, what do you like?
Commissioner Chandler, I don't really know that I'm really in a position to say something like that, mainly because I'm retired and I already had that plan. The 401k was the only thing I had. It's the only thing that I had access to while I was employed. I didn't have access to the 457. I do like the fact that what Commissioner Neighbors said is you don't have to wait till you're 59 and a half years old to start using it. That is a benefit.
That also may make your workforce retire earlier, though, if they got more access to money earlier. So more people more than 30 years.
Well,
Go
financially, the 457 makes sense because you could offer new employees coming in a difference. And that's gonna be very important with our finances right now and in the future, because I see this going further than next year. So, in the future, I like the 457 plan.
I don't like the idea of being able to make a different contribution based on different employees. I don't think that's fair to our employees. I don't know of any other municipality that
Well, it
does
might
that.
not be fair, but it's something we might have to do. I mean, you
Well,
know,
I
I'm not trying to be unfair. I'm just trying to be sensible and know where we are.
well,
And that's why I asked the question to you. It doesn't affect me. I'm not going back to work. My wife still got a job. I'm retired.
It doesn't affect me either, so that's.
Yeah, well,
not
I was just asking you as a new person hiring in, would you be interested in the new policy, or just, you would look as far as coming to work for Benson at the 401K or the 457? Would it make a difference?
If that's what you're asking, I still think it would be an incentive for someone to come to work for the town. Yes, sir.
With
Because
what?
With either one.
Oh,
they're gonna look
Oh,
at the
yeah.
contribution.
Because
Yeah.
you're still making a contribution, it's still a supplemental retirement. There's nothing that requires the employee to, when they retire in a 457 in their 50s or 40s, to start drawing on it. They can continue to make a contribution and continue for it to be a supplemental retirement plan. I knew the board wanted to think about what you wanted to do in the future in terms of cost, and the 457 offers you that flexibility that you don't have on the 401K. Because under the 401K, you're just gonna have to keep going forward with the same contribution. You're doing 5%. I wouldn't recommend, honestly, that you would want to reduce that 5%. If you would keep that with the 401K, with the 457, you could keep the 5% for the current employees and then consider something for future employees that would be different.
And that's what I'm talking about. I don't know any job that you go into that you get the same rate or the same increase as the people that have been there for a while. I don't know. I know my insurance didn't do that. So that's what I'm thinking about the 457. Financially, you know, you could offer a lower rate, or a lower percentage of what you put in for new employees, which I think is only fair.
Not in a municipality, I don't agree with it. And we have different opinions, that's okay, but every municipality that I've ever applied for has done a 5% contribution, regardless of whether you start day 1 or whether you start day 25. It is 5%. That is what makes you marketable, because when the majority of our employees at $50,000 to $65,000 a year, people can't live off of that. That's nothing. That's pennies. And the idea that they can live off of that and then save money for their retirement, that's us ensuring an employer that we're putting 5% into something that they can get hold to one day when they're not able to work. I think that's the incentive of being a local government employee, is being able to get those benefits, because it's definitely not the pay. I mean, realistically,
Excuse me?
I said it's not the pay, is what I said. The pay is not benefit. You can leave the public sector and go to the private sector and make a lot more money doing private work than you can in the public sector. The benefits is what draws employees to the public sector, and the idea of being able to work 30 years and retire, in my opinion.
Well, I can tell you, I've been a state employee for 40-some years. That ain't true.
So what is the decision that we need to make? Which plan we're gonna offer at a certain percentage?
I'm just providing you with another option to consider. I'm not recommending either way. The main thing that we found out is that if you're doing the 5% in the 401K, you don't have the option to say, let's keep the current folks there, future people we're gonna do different under the 401K. And I was hearing the board talk about, what's an option for future employees, so that's the reason I brought it forward. if you stick with the 401K and at the 5%, you'll just have to be cognizant of the future budgets that you put together to continue to try and build up your fund balance. And it can be done. It can be done. If you don't, if the board,
And this can be changed at any point in time,
you're not
though.
if you're not gonna change anything and just leave it as budgeted, there's no reason to vote tonight. You'll just have your 5% 401K that you'll be required to do for all employees, because that's what the retirement system requires. So you don't have to make a motion if you don't want to, or you can't, or you can make a motion if you do want to.
Anybody wanna make a motion?
So the local government requires 5% anyway, for the 401.
For police officers.
Just for law,
But
for
for-
law, just for law, but we're talking about for everyone. Though.
Yes, ma'am. You're doing it for everyone at the moment, and you have to do it for the police officers. And there are, as you saw, there's a good number of municipalities that do the 5%, for the other employees as well.
But it really doesn't affect anybody that's already here. Correct? I mean, they're already, these employees right here, we're not affected them any at all with, they still keep their 401K, and the ones that got the other will still stay on.
You'd have to, and you have to make a decision, the town has to make a decision, the board has, where your contribution is going to go. You can't keep some in 401K and put some in 457. You have to make the complete switch over to 457. You can maintain the 5% for the current employees in the 457 and do something different. But you can't, you gotta have them all in one or the other.
Okay. Thank you.
Based on the bank balance that I saw a couple of weeks ago and the conversations I've had, I don't think there's any reason to do anything right now. I think this can be changed at any point in time if needed to be for a budgetary item, but I don't think we need to make any changes, in my opinion.
Okay, so everybody else agree with that?
So we're gonna leave it like this for now. And all, and it's budgeted. The raises are budgeted.
Yeah, the budget is balanced the way, with the way in which everything is currently set up. And you would have to do at each budget preparation for the next few years is to work on that fund balance, that's it.
I'm good with that, because we're gonna address it again, say great things happen in the next 12 months, we will address it again when, we see that the fund balance or the funds that are coming in, can support it.
Well, you're gonna put another budget together in the spring of 26, so.
Good.
So I'm hearing that we go with the budget as balanced.
I'm hearing anybody else? Move on.
Okay, and do I move on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. The next item, or not the next item, but the next employee benefit to consider, now that you asked to bring back for consideration, were both wellness incentives. One of them is the physical, which currently 34 employees take advantage of or utilize at an annual cost of $3,400, and it's $100 per employee. And currently, the 25 employees have purchased athletic shoes with an annual cost of $2,350. They're both small amounts. I would like to, if I could, just suggest that the physical does have a positive benefit in the sense that you got a state health plan that you're paying a premium to, and someone might discover that they have high blood pressure or diabetes that they may not have gotten if they had not had that opportunity to get that physical. So it's in the budget.
That $100 comes from the town. Do we do we, I'm just talking about my benefits just for questioning, so I don't know exactly. So like, I have, the town gives me, I think it's a Unum policy or something that pays me $100 directly from that policy. Do y'all not provide, we don't provide that as the town, it actually comes out of the town's money,
I
right?
had asked that before, but it comes out straight out of the town, right?
Excuse me?
That wellness incentive for getting a physical, that is
Yeah,
funded
it-
strictly
it's-
from
it
the town.
comes
We
from
don't
the
have a
town.
supplement that covers that.
It's
Okay.
from the town.
It's from the town. It's $100 from your budget.
Would it be, Scott, do we offer a plan like that to our employees? And the only reason I say is like for me, and I'm not an insurance person, but I bought that, and I pay for that Unum policy, and that Unum policy cost me like $8 a month, and it's basically health and, what do you call it, accident or injury policy that pays you if you get hurt. But then I go get my physical every year, and it pays me $100, and that $100 I get covers my cost for that policy. Is that something that we could look at?
We offer Aflac.
Do
The
you?
town doesn't pay for Aflac. It's a voluntary.
Come on up,
deduction.
closer, Scott, if you would.
It's a voluntary deduction if,
But do they offer to pay for the physical?
I'm not sure.
It doesn't
I don't
have a
know if
wellness.
it's- I don't know if some of our guys on Aflac.
I was on Aflac, years ago when I was at Dunn, cause I got on it for maternity, maternity leave. And I guess there's different aspects, but now the one that I had didn't have anything for wellness. It was,
So I will-
there's different ones.
My experience, I have Transamerica from when I was with Harnett County, and like you said, Commissioner Neighbors, a lot of it is also age-based when you sign up for these policies and premiums. So the younger you were when you sign up for these policies, the lower your premiums are. So yes, I do kind of the same thing you do. I have my family on my private plans that I transferred over. But I know even Scott and I have discussed in the past some of those options. And like he said, we do have the Aflac, but it's not something that we,
And Aflac, I've got an Aflac policy, cancer only. Okay, it doesn't cover anything else. But I am interested in, I had a fire department physical today. We did our blood work 2 weeks ago. It's for the whole department. Now, I didn't get $100 to have that done. It was offered to me. Who picks that up?
the fire department physicals are part of the fire department budget.
Okay, it's in our budget, so it's kind of automatic for anybody that's not getting it done at their fire station or whatever and wants to go that route, right?
Well, in terms of just the fire department physicals that the firefighters get, those are budgeted from the figures Alan get in the budget every year. So, I think what you're asking is a if this then that, anybody who's on the fire department can go get those physicals. Does that correlate to whether they are a town employee and can get the $100 reimbursement? That's a separate question.
Yeah, well, we've got full-time firemen that get the $100, which is fine. I'm asking about, you're coming up with full physicals. I've done it ever since the fire department started. We're required, and then if you don't want to, if you're on a full-time department and you do a physical there, that's covered. You just show them the paperwork. We're not charged for that, but you're telling me they're charging for every person.
Yeah, because we have to pay to have the physicals done.
Okay, that's where he sits down and does the budget. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
I don't have any problem with the wellness that we have right now.
So do you have to have a motion to leave it alone, or we don't have a?
No, you do not.
Because it's currently budgeted, right?
It's in the budget. It's
Yeah.
in place.
And we're balanced.
Okay. All right, next, then the next item, we have our guidance on those particular wellness items. The next one is, discussing the town cell phone policy. The current policy, dates to 2011, it's attached. This policy, as we said before, speaks to a basic phone or a smartphone, and a smartphone. In 2011, there was such a thing as a basic phone, it was a flip phone, so a lot of us had those at that time. that had no internet capabilities, and so now everybody pretty much has a smartphone. So we updated the cell phone policy, and it's attached to 2025. The new cell phone policy takes into account the cost for the cell phones and which town staff positions may need cell phones to conduct town business. Note that the new policy specifically states that the town board makes the final decision as to who gets assigned a cell phone. It's no longer the manager's, just the manager's call. The stipend is set by the town board in the new policy as well. The new policy, if you look under section 2, has the types of conditions that the town board would take into consideration for deciding who should get a cell phone. That criteria does include all department heads having a cell phone. That area talks about job responsibilities that require an employee to be away from a regular landline for extended periods of time, and communication by the employees necessary for the job objectives. That would apply to a lot of our public works folks and even our Parks and Rec folks who are out on the fields. Employees whose job duties responsibility require immediate contact by department director or town management, which can't, and they're where they can't be reached easily enough by email or computer or existing desk phone. Employees whose job duties and responsibilities require assistance to other employees in the conduct of their job duties and responsibilities. For example, we have an employee in finance who has to get in touch with the gentleman who does the meter reading and the meter repairs. We have, for example, in HR, most of the employees contact HR with their cell phone, and so the individual in the HR tech has a cell phone stipend at the moment, because that's how a lot of employees, let's face it, we all do text and phone calls now for the things that we want to get in touch with. On-hour and after-hour support employees, that's pretty much a given. Emergency management response or critical contact employees with responsibility for emergency operations, that's pretty standard. Department heads, employees' role requires the ability to conduct a two-way communication or provide readily accessible contact with other employees and or the public, and then other critical needs that the town board might, as approved by the town board, to include budgetary considerations. Now, this new policy allows for, the way it's set up is a department head says, I think this employee, based on the criteria, should have a cell phone, comes to the manager, and then that comes back to the board for you to decide whether or not you would have a cell phone for them to use. We currently, the way the cell phone policy is set up, as you know, it's a $35 stipend and a $50 stipend. And you got some employees with 35 and some with 50, even though the ones with $35 have smartphones as well. But they were on the policy, they were given the phone under the other policy when they've been with the town long enough that they started at 35, they're still at 35. The town issued phone is $41 a month, as you all recall. So you've got those three different categories, 35, 50, and 41. And then lastly, we included at the back, we included a list of positions that meet those criteria that we just went over. Either all of them or some of them, but these are the positions that meet it. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 additional positions if you were to decide to provide that. Two of those positions are, I should say 3 of those positions are director's positions who currently do not have a cell phone. So, that I'm at the option of the board.
Well, I don't like the 2 different numbers. I mean, considering,
either.
and I'll be honest with you, I don't like paying more than we could provide a phone if that's $41. Looking at that 14, I just did real quick math. If you took all the 50s and then you took all the $35 employees and put them all together and averaged it by 14, it would come out to $41.60. So why don't we just meet in the middle and say we'll give all the employees on this list a stipend of $41 or $42, whatever you don't, if you want to split the difference, and then be done. And that way there's no deciding who gets what as far as a monetary thing. That's just a set rate, and then the board's decision is, does this employee need a cell phone, instead of having to decipher between the rates.
And something else, as far as this goes, everybody's got a smartphone. If I was on the list, I would tell you to take that phone because I wouldn't need. I'm going to use my own phone, and most of these employees are using their own phone. Put it out there to these and see if the project manager or if the town administrator or whoever's on this list wants a separate phone to use, and that's, you may cut this list down to 5 people that want to be a part of that. And I know some of them, like the police department, I wouldn't want to give out my personal number, but he may need one. But is he going to carry 2 phones? Is that what he wants to do? Does Glenn in electrical, does he want to carry 2 phones, or and his employees? I know he doesn't like to be called at home, but I would ask them if they're going to carry 2 phones, and one of them's going to be the town and one of them's going to be theirs. I'm all for it if that's what they need. But I would say if you ask them, they're not going to sign up. Some of them not even going to sign up for it because they're using their own phone. And you don't have long-distance phone calls anymore, and everybody's texting, and it should be up to them. But I do agree with William. Whatever you do, let's do the same rate all the way down. If it's 40, if it's 45, whatever it's going to cost us, let's do that.
May I answer part
Yes,
of that question,
ma'am.
Commissioner Chandler? So, and if you flip to the in-between page, there's a policy affirmation form, because like you said, I know even in public utilities, there are some staff that say, I do not want to use my personal cell phone, I'm going to opt for a town phone, like you said. And there are some staff that said, I can barely keep up with 1 phone, I don't want to keep up with 2. So we do give everybody option, and the affirmation form that would come to the board for approval states which option they want to choose, whether it's a town-issued phone on our town plan, or they're receiving the stipend for the same amount if we decide to go with the $41, $42 across the board. So it's in writing, everybody signed it, you all will approve it, and it will say which option they're choosing.
Okay.
So it's still documented, the position itself has approval for a cell phone, but there's also documentation by the employee and by the town staff of who is getting what. So they are making that choice for themselves.
I don't have any problem with anyone on the list. I would just want to change the number tonight to what the town cost is. And I make the motion, and it's $41, is that correct?
41.
$41
and some change.
Right.
Well, let's go $42. Let's just say
Okay,
that
42,
that we're gonna make the stipend or the phone the employee's choice based on what their elective is, and then whatever that stipend that they get or phone that they get is gonna be the same rate of $42.
Okay.
With the motion, any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Okay, that adopts the new policy 2025. Okay. All right, and that's all I have until you get down under reports.
So we got section, the new credit card fees, right?
First we got the voluntary
Oh, yeah.
annexation, and then we do the credit card.
Yeah.
Voluntary annexation petition by Gene Parker. for 76 Dog Eye Road.
Okay. All right, last month, you guys gave me the go-ahead to do the certificate of sufficiency. This is a contiguous annexation for Gene Parker. It's 467 Dog Eye Road. It's approximately 31 acres. Ike and I met yesterday, and we both in agreement that it does meet all the criteria. And so our next step is, and you have I gave it to you tonight. You need to approve a resolution allowing me, so we can fix in the date for the public hearing for the annexation. I would advertise it, I think on the 5th in the Benson News and Review, and then we would have the public hearing on November the 20th. So I would need to have a motion to approve Resolution 275, 2025, and for me to do the public hearing on the November 20th, to have it advertised.
I make a motion that we approve 225.
I have a motion to approve 467 Dog Eye Road. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Okay, now we have the credit card fees. Okay, I came up here at a previous meeting, and the board approved to pass the miscellaneous and utility credit card fees onto the customer. At the time, miscellaneous was 3.75% with a $2.50 minimum. The town is currently absorbing the utility credit card fees, and it is at a 2% with a 50-cent minimum. Once you guys passed it, I went back to our sales rep at Tyler, and I told him, I said, we want to switch it. Well, I guess it was probably a week or two ago, they sent me an email, the amendment to the contract, and as I began to read it, it said that the utility credit card fees are 3.75% with a $2.50 minimum. So I emailed her back, I said, hey, this isn't what we're paying. And so she told me that when we changed the service fee, it became a different rate structure. So now utility and miscellaneous will both be 3.75% with the $2.50 minimum. So before, I wanted to get your board's approval before we move forward with this. And I will say that we have been doing in office, we have been taking miscellaneous, and we let everyone know when they come in and say, hey, because most likely, a lot of people that have been coming in spend $50 for their zoning permit, and we let them know, say there is a $2, and we haven't had anybody say, I don't want to use my card. So if you agree to this, you vote on it, then I will sign the amendment tomorrow, and we will move forward with changing it, passing it to the customer.
Recall one of the reasons why you moved ahead with this is that we were spending $60,000
Yes.
on those fees.
I make the motion, we approve.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Thank y'all.
For sure.
All right, I'm up next too. Okay, what you have, I'm sorry I didn't get it to you because actually I was up doing this last night. So you have on your sheet, you have the current projects that we're getting reimbursements for, and this is current as of yesterday, October the 22nd. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. I can tell you that the CDBG project we're pretty much, is Jay here? Jay, our CDBG's pretty much done, right?
Yes, I was sending an email this morning by Weather right now that was 100% complete.
Okay, so that one, Jay can probably help me on some of these. The Lassie Stormwater Grant, wastewater treatment plant upgrade, we're doing, we switched from where we were actually paying and then we were doing the reimbursement. We have totally done that done it different. We submit the request. They put the funds in our bank account. We have 3 days to pay the vendors, and this is working out. Actually, last night I checked the bank account. We got 2 in. Today I got the invoices ready. We sent them out, so it's working great. We don't have any outstanding invoices. The community building, the L-shaped building, but same thing. It's, everything's been paid current. I mean, we're not holding any invoices. I did want to say, on the elevated storage tank, that was a grant that we got from Johnson County in the amount of $500,000. Well, I was just talking to Jay right before the meeting. The only funds that we have spent today, as of yesterday, was $113,950. Well, that is done. So I'm going to reach out tomorrow to Pam Radford with the county, because that leaves us a balance of $386,050, and see if they'll just send us those funds or let us use it for something else.
They should, because they gave all the other
Right.
municipalities $750.
Right,
And we
so-
got 500.
And I will say they've been good, because there was I had went back and looked, and there was a reimbursement done in December of 2024, and I researched it, and it was like $48,000, and we had not received it. So I reached out to Pam. I said, I don't see that we ever got this reimbursement. Well, she emailed me back, and she said, you're right, you didn't, and it wasn't 2 weeks, and they sent it to us. So they've been really good to work with. If y'all have any questions on them,
The projects on Lincoln and I-40, it looks like we've got about $130,000 out there. Is that stuff that we can't get back until says?
where at?
The Lincoln and West Martin Street says we've not received any, and we've spent 14.8, and then the I-40 pump station has said we've not received any, and we've spent 112. So are those funds coming?
Yes, the Lincoln and West Martin Street sewer replacement and the I-4 and
The I-40 pump
Station.
station, that's out of the $16 million fund.
Okay.
We have submitted, I don't know if we have submitted.
yes, they're in the submittal to get back. Yes, we're
Okay.
Lincoln Street, Martin Street is for engineering right now. The I-40 pump station, the only thing that's left is we got a transformer, I'm gonna say transformer. A control panel to set place, but everything up to date has been paid back so far.
yes we're getting everything. We're submitting them. We're getting them
We're
back.
submitted
That's
through
just
the state when the state sends us the money.
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Does anybody have any other questions on them?
This is the quarterly report that, under the project ordinance, and Angie's done an outstanding job with this, that should be coming every quarter to the board. So you got your first quarter for this fiscal year, you get your next quarter, you got 3 more quarters to go.
Yeah, and any time that you want, and if you need anything, just email me, call, and me and Jay will get between the two of us. We can tag team. I know more about the finance, and he has to. I don't know. He knows more about the details of the project. So
The CDBG, did you find somewhere to put that 165? That was this remaining for that CDBG?
Well, we still got the everything
Okay.
yes,
Okay. All right.
contract.
Okay.
So
And-
we finished with the final billing from the contractor, but we have retained to pay.
right. And we just got the Gemco. Lisa, they didn't pick up the check today, did they? They were supposed to come tomorrow because they were holding off. They had been holding off on doing some stuff because they were waiting to be paid.
Okay.
So we got the money. I saw the money hit our bank account last night. We did the check today.
Okay.
So,
All right.
is there any other questions?
No, but Angie, I would just like to say to you, I really appreciate the hard work that you've done, because I know that you have done some hard work. Because when you pass out some of the agendas, you were looking very tired. So I know you've been doing some hard work, and I really appreciate what you
I
have done.
appreciate that, Ms. Maxine. All right, I think that's all for me. Thank y'all.
We're now going under new business,
Well, we are,
oh, I got
one more.
Yeah.
I'm not done.
and I have one under new business as well. I've forgotten. I just need to bring that up.
Okay, which new business and which are
Where-
you under?
I'm doing, it was supposed to be me and Alan. I'm doing the purchase orders.
Yeah,
It's the purchase order for 8 sets of turnout gear. This has been budgeted. So it takes about 10 weeks for it to get here to place the order. So me and Alan talked about it. I'm telling him now is a good time to order it. But since this purchase is over $30,000, we have to have board approval. And like I said, it is budgeted.
So,
I
it's
just
already
need a-
budgeted? I make a
yes,
motion
ma'am.
that we approve it.
It is.
I make a motion that we approve it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Now I'm done.
Okay, now I have one, the new one. I sent this out to you all yesterday. We got this information from NCDOT. They, and you have pictures of it. They have consideration for an intersection, to improve the intersection at Dunn and Main Street. One conceptual, it's just purely conceptual at this point from NCDOT. One concept is a traditional intersection. The other concept is a roundabout. I would like to point out that all they're looking for from the board tonight is which one would you prefer. None of these have been scored yet. None of these have been prioritized yet. None of these have been funded yet. And the new planning, transportation planning board that the mayor is currently on will be reviewing all of these along with these two, along with myriads of other regional transportation projects. That transportation project they put together is a 10-year plan, and some items, I can tell you because I've been on an MPO before, some items don't even make the 10-year. They're out somewhere beyond the 10-year plan, and every year that plan is reassessed as to where it's going to be. So what I would like to assure the board is nobody's getting ready to come in here and do anything at that intersection. They just would like to know whether the board would rather see a traditional intersection or a roundabout when and if this ever gets done. So they would just like the board's, which one would you prefer?
I would prefer a traditional intersection.
And I would too.
Does it look like the lot the town owns, if we went with the traditional, it'll be saved, where if we go with the roundabout?
If you do either one that you do is going to cut significantly into the lot.
Right, yeah.
Is this a, Steve, is this
The
a,
backside of the lot will still be okay.
I can't read very well on these because it's so small. Is this a mini roundabout like the one we have, or would this be a traditional roundabout like I went through today at Bowie's Creek going through Campbell?
It would be a traditional.
Right. If it's a traditional, I'd rather have a roundabout.
It's not the small one because they have the space to put a traditional one.
Would they be interested in going ahead and purchasing our vacant lot there that we bought for this purpose? Because it might be for sale within the next 10 years.
That's what it was purchased for.
That's right.
And you got to straighten that street out,
Right.
Dunn Street coming in, so they could put a light or do something right there, because it's a dangerous intersection.
Is it a traditional stoplight or is it traditional a four-way stop? It doesn't say.
It doesn't say.
So
So I can't answer that at the moment. So it doesn't say.
I will say, in the meeting we had when we met with DOT, we did bring up the fact that would put 3 lights if they did go with that. You know, we've got the bridge, Fayetteville, and then one down. So I will say, we don't know what this plan is, but we did bring up the discussion of throwing a third light within 500 feet might increase some traffic issues.
Well, the
there.
lights right now are going to change from the meeting that I was in as far as coming over, because it's a cluster right now, and it's going to, when they get the roundabout on the opposite side of 95, I think you will see the bridge open up more.
Likely. Again, this is not like something that's going to happen in the next year or 2 years. I mean, I can assure you that it's just what would you prefer, and that way they know when they start scoring it
And then they end up doing what they want to. That's exactly what they did with the roundabout up
Yes,
there
sir.
before.
Yeah, but this one is not. It's not anything that's going to happen on an immediate basis.
If it's a traditional circle, I vote traditional circle. I like the bigger circles.
Well, the bigger circle's good, but
Well, there's
You
not
like,
that many spaces.
you like the little roundabout, we've had over 70 accidents up there.
Just
I
'cause
sat out there and watched them the other day.
I
What do you
didn't,
guys think?
I like it.
Traditional? Anything?
If people don't know how to, maneuver a regular roundabout, I think we need to go with traditional. We're having too many issues with the current
Any
one.
back, traditional or roundabout?
I think, original.
Traditional, okay, that's 4-1, okay. That's what we're gonna suggest.
Traditional, I'll send that on to NCDOT.
Did they ever put the camera up?
They haven't at this point.
Okay, I know you contacted us, what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
with-
2 weeks
I've
ago.
been looking, I thought maybe they hit it.
Yeah, they have not put it up yet. No, I don't think it needs a motion, just a preference. So I guess we're now to my report. Yes, sir. All right. We have the Hall Fest coming up, October 24th. November 11th, all non-essential town facilities will be closed for Veterans Day. By the way, that would be typically your work session, but it's a holiday. So one of the things we wanted to bring up tonight is where would you like to move that meeting? Would you like to move it, say, to the next night, November 12th?
And I was gonna let you know too, November 12th will be fine. The only night that the conference center is booked is November the 13th. DOT is having, it's like a public meeting or something, so that's not an option. So I just wanted to throw that out there, but if you.
DOT's having a public meeting to put in a roundabout.
no, they're having a meeting about the
Further
242.
discussion about
I know that.
about 222, is that?
242, the 242 wide.
So
Yeah.
any other night is available.
I just throw out the 12th because it's the day after.
And that's on a Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
What's your schedule?
I'll be at work. I'm always at work.
I'll mention I won't be here either that week, so, I mean, I don't know that I'm, sir,
The whole week.
the whole, well,
Well, there's also nothing preventing pushing it back to the 10th, right? Monday night.
Yeah, you can do it on the 10th. I just won't be here if you go like the 5th or the 8th, I won't be here, but, yeah, but we can do it on the 10th. I mean, it's whatever y'all want.
Yeah. The work session is always the week before the regular board meeting, so.
Cause the second meeting will be November the 20th.
Any of them's good with me. The Monday will work out. If it works out for everybody
Say
else.
Monday, if we're
No.
for-
Are you working?
Can we do 7:30 on Monday?
Yeah.
I got another meeting at 6 o'clock, but I should be able to be here by 7:30.
7:30 on Monday?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
What'd he say?
I'd say make a motion for that, cause I'm not 100%, Steve, you know better, then correct me, but I think that was originally, I know it's on the calendar, I think when the board approved their meeting schedule, their organizational meeting, they put it on the 11th, so I would just, housekeeping's sake, I would make a motion that
Yeah,
you
I was
make.
gonna say you need to make a motion, yeah. Thank you, Mr.
Let me ask you something now. I hope I didn't log this in wrong. Do we have a meeting on the 6th? Not like a public meeting, but is that like our special meeting?
Yeah, that's. what
Oh,
I've-
November?
I've got second interview for November the 6th.
I do too.
From 6 to 7?
Mm-hmm.
That's the week before, yeah.
That's the week before, 4th, 5th, 6th.
That'll be on a Thursday.
I think whether or not you're gonna have that is probably gonna determine on what happens at this next manager
Let me
selection
ask you
meeting, so.
something. Does it come back on that Saturday too? I've got a star by the 8th of November.
I don't have anything on the 8th.
You do not.
I have the 6th though.
Our final decision will be on the 20th?
Could be, right? Or
Could be, could be. I've got Thursday, the 20th, top pick announcement on, town manager. I mean, I've got it jotted down from a
That's
month
well,
ago.
that's
What
our-
are we looking at?
That's our regular meeting. So since that's our regular meeting, that's kind of what they were saying, that maybe we would be ready to announce at our regular meeting on the 20th.
Okay.
Depending on how the next 2 weeks go, I would say.
It'd be nice if we could do that for him to come to that meeting, or he or she.
Yeah.
First meeting they come to is when they're coming in.
So the meeting before is very important, to get behind us. Y'all make up your mind what you want. and I'm
Please
good.
do.
I'm good.
I can do the 10th at 7:30. I won't be in town on the 12th.
Everybody good with the 10th at 7:30? Monday the 10th.
I've got the DOT project meeting on the 13th.
That's right.
Okay, okay.
That's why I was saying.
Oh,
you
okay.
can't
You
have
can't
it
go
on
on a
the
Thursday.
13th.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
November the 10th.
I make a motion that we move the November 11th meeting to Monday, November the 10th at 7:30.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, let's move.
The only other thing I had under my report, and I passed it out to you this evening, this came in an email today. It's a memorandum from Tiffany Anderson, who is our LGC, Local Government Commission coach. And because the town is currently on the unit assistance list, because the audit for 2024 was late, we were already, the town was already on it in 2023, and you now are back on it again in 2025 because of the late audit. And there are some requirements. There will be a virtual or in-person visit to put together a planning document. That visit's going to take place next week, Monday afternoon. It will be the finance director, myself, and the assistant town manager meeting with Miss Anderson to talk to her about what the financial plan will look like, and then we report it to the board. It's going to require a budget to actual be submitted to the LGC on January 19th, 6 months. A budget to actual on Monday, on the 9-month on April 20th, and then a draft budget and documents for your 2027 ordinance has to be ready by May 15th. So you'll have to start your
That's
budgetary preparation. Ideally, you'll have to start it sometime in February. And then there is board training required, virtual or in person. And you can see that the board training can be done by the coach team in person, or you can have access to it online and just do it for yourself. Do it yourself. But you need to be doing that this fiscal year. I also attached on that some additional information that was sent with that. These are the requirements for local governments that are on the unit assistance list. UAO units must obtain LGC approval of financing contracts for the purchase, lease, or lease with an option to purchase motor vehicles where the contract amount equals or exceeds $50,000. UAO units must obtain LGC approval for financing contracts relating to lease, acquisition, or construction of capital assets with terms that exceed 3 years and $50,000. So basically, you're going to have to go back for those. It also requires the city and county manager of the unit to complete a minimum of 6 clock hours of education, including fiscal management and requirements of Chapter 59 of the general statutes and 168, 148, which deals with city managers. That will be something your new manager will be needing to do that training in order to be able to turn that into the LGC that the training was done. So that's, I wanted to bring that to your attention since we're on the UAL, and that's all I have, Mr. Mayor, for tonight.
Is that 6 hours, is it 6 hour CE training online, or?
It's, let's see, it's, I think that it would be online, I'm sure that they.
I mean, is it online 6 hours, or?
It may be broken up, there's no explanation as to how that
So we
exactly is.
just go on there and say, take these classes to complete this?
when we meet with her on
She'll tell us.
Monday, we can get all that and let you know. We
Yeah,
can find out more.
we'll find out more on Monday, thank you.
If, can we go ahead and have a preliminary discussion, if we're planning on doing a board retreat or something for the budget in February, can we go ahead and try to put that on the calendar? And I'm just saying it because I fill up fast. I've got one Saturday left in February, and that's February the 7th. And so I'm just trying to make sure that I can be here.
You want to do it on February 7th?
That's the Saturday I have in February. I've got, unless you want to move it to March, but I know we've got to get it done.
I think I would want it done earlier than later.
If we've got to get that budget
Well,
approved.
then can we back it up?
Put it tentatively for February 7th, and then if we have to change it, we'll change it, or, I'll name it.
I'm asking y'all.
However it goes.
I need to check my calendar, because I'm already overbooked right now, stuff for Saturday. So let me check and let you know.
Okay.
Do it on the 14th, that's Valentine's Day.
Oh, no, it
I know, it. We have, we actually have.
I'll be at work. I just like to go ahead and start getting that scheduled early.
But we could back it up.
You can absolutely back it up.
January,
Yeah, I got all Saturdays in January you want.
Okay.
It's just I'm booked up on Saturdays in February.
Okay. So if
Have
that
one.
didn't work, I could do anything except the 17th on January. So I've marked down the 7th, and I don't care. Y'all just come up with something.
How about I send y'all some dates, and like we did, we'll kind of poll and see where y'all, and let's go ahead and get.
That'll be fine.
Will that work?
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Sure.
Thank you.
you know,
All I have.
all right.
I don't have anything unless there are questions for me.
Can I got an announcement. I just wanted to announce to let everybody know on, November 1st is the Veterans Day celebration.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
yeah, that's okay. And the 5K. So, I just wanted to put that, out there. So that's Saturday, November 1st.
Yeah, there's a flyer that came out.
We all have to run this podcast? All right, well, that's it. So, yeah,
I'm good.
birthday girl.
No, I'm good. I think my concerns have been addressed. I appreciate that, Mr. Steve.
Good. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't catch up.
Thank you. You've been working on that for me, and I appreciate that. And my people have been talking to me about that, and they really appreciate what the town is looking into.
Okay, well, thank you.
And Tanner and him too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Don't have anything except November the 1st is always there, chicken picking, or charcoal chicken at the church, and I usually take care of whatever officers and staff is working, and it will be from 11 o'clock until we run out. I ain't putting a date, time on when it's gone, because it got gone early last year.
I don't have anything, no, sir.
I don't either. Anybody want to make a motion to go into closed session?
I make a motion to go into closed session. Do we have a
143.3.18.11A4.
143.14.8?
318.11A4. Just say ditto. You don't have to give it up.
Yeah, that one.
Economic development.
The mayor read it off at the beginning.
Are we in closed session?